Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1293, written by Embarrassed Form 247. When the Universe Plays Doctor. I went to my local emergency room because I was having severe abdominal pain. After a CAT scan and x-rays, the doctor came back and said, "It's huge." I asked, "What is?" He said, "It's big." I said, "I got that. What is it?" He answered, "It's a cyst on your ovary." I said, "Okay, what are we going to do about it?" He referred me to an OBGYN surgeon who sent me for an MRI and more x-rays. And I never had a stitch in my life at 45 years old. No children, started menopause at age 30, and my periods were very painful every month. So he explained the cyst on my ovary, and they would cut me from my breastbone all the way down and remove just the ovary. I asked if they could just give me a hysterectomy, being that I couldn't bear children, and having severe pain every month, etc. And he said no. I continued to try to convince him to just take it all because it didn't work and I was experiencing a lot of pain. But no, he would only remove just one ovary. So on the day of the surgery, once they cut me open, they discovered that it was not a cyst in the ovary but two large, mature dermoids. One the size of a football and one the size of a large candy Easter egg that both had hair, teeth, and nails and had attached to my kidney and blood vessels in my leg. None of the tests showed these, so I was a triplet in embryo. So they immediately closed me back up because they were not able to handle such a complicated procedure at that moment. This is also when I learned that you can't get true results from any kind of scans or x-rays. So I am now published in textbooks at Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. I also had vulvar cancer that was discovered once they removed the dermoids. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 2 years later, and rectal cancer 2 years after that, then throat and vocal cord cancer in 2019. I come from a large family with no history of cancer. The last 3 cancers were misdiagnosed. Lucky that I did not accept the findings and persuaded more tests and so on. So I am officially weird and strange, but my body is strong, and I'm still kicking, no matter what the universe throws at me. Case notes file 1293. When the Universe Plays Doctor. I have to admit I was struggling not to burst out in laughter at the first part, with the doctor proclaiming it's huge. Not what you ever want to hear from a doctor. I don't know how many words of comfort I can truly offer though. I mean, to have so many tumors? I can't process that. I'm just so sorry. You're still around and kicking though. Tough as hell cookie for sure. I think this is one of those universes in the great ocean of the multiverse where you miraculously survive it all. So this is the universe where you, from other universes, are being jumped into. Pretty cool. Written by cosmicchameleons, the Pier of Peril. I was 16, just got my permit to drive, and I went to meet my then boyfriend at our favorite park to walk the trails in. This park happened to be outside of a rough and nearly empty part of town. It had a wide river running through the park, with a L-shaped pier that had railings on all sides of the pier, only one way on or off of it. My boyfriend called and said he couldn't make it, and not wanting to go home just yet, I got out of my car and started to walk around the park. It was 2:30 p.m., and I could still see the breeze going through the trees all around, and how the leaves were just beginning to change their colors. I had on a hot pink jacket, jean skirt, and boots, and I walked out onto the pier. I had realized I was underdressed as the wind coming off the water was too chilly. I had a gut feeling telling me to leave, but I brushed it off. I finally sat down at the end of the pier, leaning my back against the railings, and stared down at the water below running over the jagged rocks. Without any warning, I suddenly heard footsteps from behind at the beginning of the pier. I quickly glanced over at a man who had blue rope in between his hands, circling up each end of it in either hand, creating a line between. As my brain was putting that piece of information together, he said, "What are you doing out here all alone?" I couldn't think of anything to say, but I stood up and then saw he was dragging along a medium-sized black and white fuzzy dog that was tied in a makeshift collar and leash to another piece of rope that was looped around the man's upper arm. "You're too pretty to be sitting out here by yourself." He walked towards me with a smirk on his face, looking down at the rope. He was roughly 10 feet away. Again, there was only one way on or off the pier, and I would have to run right by him to escape, which didn't seem to be an option. The only other way was to jump off the pier, but with the rushing water and rocks below, that didn't seem like a viable option either. At that moment, my stomach sank completely. The hair on my arms and my neck stood at attention, and still do to this day when I think about this. The fear, dread, and panic were overwhelming in my chest. I knew whatever was going to happen next was going to be absolutely horrible. The next few events happened quickly. I backed up until I bumped into the railing and squeaked out a small, "Please." The man closed the distance between us and was about 5 feet away. As I balled up my fist to at least put up some semblance of a fight, suddenly the dog planted his feet and started growling ferociously. The man pulled on the makeshift leash to get the dog to come on, but the dog turned to go the other way, still growling. This distracted the man for a brief moment and he turned, kicked the dog, then turned his gaze back onto me. Mind you, he still has his hands bound in the rope. The man took one more step and that's when the dog had enough. He planted his feet one more time, swung his head back and forth violently until the leash came off, bared his teeth and clamped down on the man's Achilles heel. The man bent over, screaming in pain. He tried to get the dog off of him, but his hands were bound. The dog released for half a second and bit into the man's calf. The man fell to the ground and was struggling to get his hands out of the ropes that were meant for me. I seized my opportunity and quickly moved by him and took off running. I ran until I got to my car, and as I pulled away, I saw the dog running out of the park in a full sprint. I know without a doubt that dog saved my life that day. Case on file 1294, the Pier of Peril. Another example of a guardian angel event taking place in the form of an animal. A good boy dog, in this case, and in many cases too. Sometimes cats as well. I do believe it was a true guardian angel event because this was the man's dog. They're infinitely loyal pets, even to unworthy masters. The only thing that could have tilted the dog to help you was as a direct act from your own protector, possessing or maybe influencing the dog. It's just so cool how powerful these guardian angels are. It's good to know we're always protected. And now time for the quote of the day. I get up every morning determined to both change the world and have one hell of a good time. Sometimes this makes planning my day difficult. E.B. White. Do you ever have one of those days where you're extremely motivated, but at the same time, you just want to veg out and have a relaxing day, watch some TV shows, but you always feel motivated too? It's like this itch in the back of your mind that you can't scratch and you have to just go run 10 miles before you do anything fun. I kind of feel like that every day. It's hard to square it, and I don't know how I pick which I'm going to do, just be lazy or be very productive. I guess I tend to do both interchangeably, but I feel both at the same time. So I guess that's a good thing, right? Enables you to always enjoy life and still be productive. Best of both worlds. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.